Hi class, this is going to be week 1 of the science decomposition experiment. As I mentioned last lesson, I put my apples in a very safe place that I would forget about them and not touch them, and that's exactly what happened. So I'm going to pull it out for the first time since I did the experiment setup, and let's see how that looks. So, you can take a look at that. This is the alcohol, vinegar, soy sauce, sriracha, and the control group from last week when we set it up on April 3rd. And today's learning target is going to be, I can collect data. Just a reminder that your science notebook should include your date, to keep a record of when you are collecting your data, your name at the top left in case your loose leaf paper gets misplaced or your sheet falls out and rips out of your spiral notebook or your scientific notebook. And today's learning target is I can collect data. Now what you're going to do for your sentence starters to set up your week 1 observation is this. Week 1 observations for the control group is blank. Week 1 observation for the alcohol group is blank. Week 1 observation for the vinegar group is blank. Week 1 observations for the sriracha group is blank. Week 1 observations for the soy sauce is blank. Now I'm going to model for you how to collect your data for week 1. Now let's start with the control group. So for the control group, I notice that it is shriveled, it is dried. So for an example, for the week 1 observation for the control group, I can write it is shriveled and it is dried. Moving on to the observation for the vinegar, which is right over here. This one, I can write that it is semi-dried because when I'm touching it, it seems a little bit kind of spongy texture, not quite dried as the vinegar. Like you can hear it kind of click back onto the plate. But for the vinegar, it's very soft still, and it has moisture still because it's still sticking to the plate. So I can say, as scientists, we observe with our eyes, touch, hearing, and we're not going to taste, okay? We're not going to use that sense. So for vinegar, I can feel that it's still moist, it's soft, it's spongy. For the control group, I can see that it's a little bit more crispier and more dried. So I'm just going to model the vinegar and the control group for you. And a challenge that I want you to use, and remember, you can challenge yourself if you want things a little bit more differentiated and to have a little bit more enrichment, is that you can challenge yourself by including adjectives. So the adjectives that I would use for the control is hard and dry. The adjective that I would use for the vinegar is a little bit moist, soft. So challenge yourself to use as many adjectives as you can. Another challenge that I would like you to try, only if you're ready, is challenge number 2. How did your observations of week 1 compare to your initial hypothesis? And remember, we wrote our hypothesis the weeks when we were setting up our experiment. So remember your hypothesis that you've written down. How do they compare with your week 1 observations? So I'm going to leave that to you to observe your other apple slices that you have set away And we're gonna check back in next week for week 2's observations and then go from there. So stay tuned. I'll see you for your next lesson. Bye.